All right, I'm in the process of doing the final painting parts on this car. I have sprayed my brake lenses. These are not, well, I'll show you the photo. They're not exact to the car. You can see that black center line is narrower than the lenses above and below. Now in the kit, they're pretty much all equal. So we just went with it and painted the center of the lens the semi-gloss black, as well as the inside corner of it. And then from the back side, so the semi-gloss black is painted on the outside, all masked off, painted on the outside. And then from the inside, we painted the white first. We masked off everything left and right of the white. And then once the white was dry, we masked off the area for the orange, and then masked off everything for the red. And I'm not quite done with this yet because, as you'll see, let me grab the photo again. Okay, as you see in the photo, we've got the black, the white, the orange, the red, and then the very end red, you can see on either side it's slightly a brighter red. And in order to achieve that, I think what I'm going to do is use some Tamiya red behind that edge of it. And what I did to get so the white is just Tamiya, what is that, X2 gloss white. The orange is the clear orange, which is X27 maybe, Tamiya's clear orange. And instead of using Tamiya's clear red, which the color to me just wasn't quite right, I actually used the Mr. Clear Color GX Deep Clear Red. And I think that color better represents the color I'm looking for in that red. But what I'll do, and I just sprayed this not too long ago, so that red isn't fully cured yet, but once it's cured, I will mask off this portion of it, this lens portion of it, and then spray Tamiya X7 red behind the corner. And I think in the end that'll give me that just slightly brighter red tone at the corners that appears in the photo. And the other thing I'm working on, as you can see here, is masking the fluted vents on the hood, which is kind of a pain in the rear end, actually. And I didn't notice it, upon first looking at this when I was working on it. But especially right here at the front edge, they're not well molded. They kind of fade out. This side's a little bit better than the other one. You can kind of see there's a little bit of an edge there that's not well defined. So I laid the wider masking tape over the top, pressed it down, ran around the edges with my fingernail, and then very carefully with a brand new sharp X-Acto blade, traced the outline of it. And not really wanting to, but I did cut into the body color of the paint. So I'm hoping when I lay the gloss black down over it, that'll help seal that cut edge some. But I don't really see any other way to do it and make it come out right. Brush painting, that probably really isn't much of an option to me, just because of how close to the edge you need to be. So it'll get airbrushed, but that's what I'm working on at the moment. And then after that, I also need to mask inside where the headlights are inset into the nose. This all should be a flat, well, not flat necessarily, but it's going to be a semi-gloss black. And then the back edge of where the headlamps would be, that'll get a silver coating on it. And then we'll be ready to install the light lenses and pretty much finish this up. All right, moment of truth. How well did I get it masked? Let's find out. You know, I just thought of something as well. The underside of the hood, you can see it's got a texture. The underside had a, I guess a fabric is the right term for it, I suppose. But that would have been black as well. And I'm thinking about what I can use to denote that fabric more than just the texture and the plastic. Uh-oh, look at that. Look at that. Dang. That's where my knife had slipped. Well, not really slipped, but I didn't follow as close to the edge as I wanted, and I went back and recut it. And that little bit of masking tape pulled up the brown paint underneath. All right, that could be a problem. Let's see if I can lay that back in there. Yeah, this is something I was afraid of, having to use my knife in that paint. All right, let's see. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that back in there. Let's see. All right, well. All right, that's going to require a little bit of work to get that touched up more. You know what? I think that's actually a little sliver of the tape that's on there now. Yeah, it is. All right, so I'm not going to get rid of that yet. I might still be able to patch that in there carefully. All right, well, except for that little edge, it looks all right. So I'll have to figure out if I can separate that little sliver of paint from the masking tape that's holding it and somehow glue it back into that spot. We'll see. All right, I was able to fix it as best I can. I got a little bit of cyanoacrylate glue, super glue, and used a toothpick and very carefully set just a little bit of the glue down on the bare area, and then laid that sliver of paint still attached to the tape in there, and again with another toothpick that had no CA glue on it, you know, pressed it in there carefully. And then with the tip of my very sharp X-Acto knife, I was able to very carefully get underneath the masking tape and between it and the tape, or it and the paint rather, and peel the masking tape off and leave the paint where it came from. And then with the blunt end of another toothpick, so I cut off just a little blunt end and then gently pressed it in and smoothed it over. It's visible, but it's not noticeable, if that makes sense. So, you know, from a foot away, not very noticeable at all. You know, if you get up close and really look, yeah, you can see it, but I might need to still touch up with a little bit of the semi-gloss black along the edge, but not nearly as obvious as it was when I first peeled that tape off. So I consider that a save. Welcome back, everybody. Today is Friday, July 5th. I hope you all enjoyed a safe Independence Day yesterday. Hopefully you were able to spend time with friends or family or both. Enjoy the fireworks. I worked yesterday for an 8-hour day, but then I did enjoy myself a little bit last evening. I'm off today, go back to work tomorrow. But we've completed the task. The Camaro is done. Probably not yet my best. There's a few little minor errors, mistakes made, things that stick out in my eye. Maybe not to the casual observer, they wouldn't notice, but I think it turned out pretty good. And in reference to my original car, this is really, really close. One thing I noticed after putting it together, the fitment of the hood right at the front, it doesn't lay as flush as it should. I mean, it lays flush along the sides, but the front lip, there's just a little bit of a, it's not really a gap, but it kind of is a gap. Anyway, here's the bottom. I don't think I ever really showed you any of the bottom work I was doing. I used a little bit of weathering powders, but most of that is paint details. The door handles, that's actually a decal that comes in the kit. I considered painting it, but then at the last minute I'm like, why spend the time masking it all off? I'll just use those decals, they'll work just fine. And they did. They worked really good. The tires are generic. There is no sidewall detail at all. The wheels, the centers of the wheels, that was tough to paint that without the paint running out. There's a bit of a star pattern, so it's got a little bit of a raised detail on it that you could put the paint down in between and not get it out into the spokes. I did the best I could. There's one or two of them where the paint did run outside of the spokes a little bit, but you really have to look to see that. The driver's side mirror, let's see, I don't know. You can kind of see there's a smudge in it. So I shot it with the mirror inset. It's actually a separate mirror piece that goes into the housing for the mirror. I shot it with X1 black, gloss black from Tamiya. Let that dry, I mean probably 3 or 4 days. And then shot it with Green Stuff World chrome through the airbrush. Looked beautiful. In the process of getting it into that housing, and they are marked so that there's a peg that goes into a hole in the housing, and between left and right the pegs are different sizes, so the holes are different size to match. It just didn't want to fit. It was the right mirror for the right side, but I had to force it a little bit to get into the hole, and when I did that, it smeared that chrome paint a little bit. So, you know, what are you going to do? I wasn't going to strip it down and repaint it just for that. This isn't going into a contest. It's for me. It's for my pleasure. But it turned out pretty good. Decal-wise, decals. So on the rear here, it does say, what does it say? Something, I don't know, 5.0 liter overhead. I don't recall exactly, but it's a script lettering, and then there's a raised script lettering in the plastic itself that's supposed to lay over. Well, they weren't exact in their size, so it looks a little wonky if you get up close and look at it. I probably should have left the decal off and then tried to just paint with the edge of a brush, paint that lettering that's on the bumper. Oh well. The other difficulty was painting this hood, the louvers in it. It turned out good. The one mistake I made in cutting the masking, the little sliver of paint that actually came off with the mask, I was able to get it in and lay it down, and I mean, unless you really look close, I don't think you'll notice it. So I was lucky to be able to save that. But I'll throw up some other still photos here and give you a little more of the detail shots on it. So that's going to wrap up this build. It was a pretty good one, I think. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I was going to do a 67 Fastback Mustang, but I've seen one of the other content creators recently, I don't recall which one it was, has also started that exact Mustang that I was going to work on. And it is the year of the Mustang, so, I mean, the Mustang will get built on my bench here this year, but I'm not sure it's going to be the next project built on my desk. Yeah, I don't know. I've got another Camaro, a newer Camaro. I might do that one because I got an idea for custom paint that I want to do with it. So stick around, and thank you to the newer subscribers that I've recently received this week. I just had a rush on subscribers in the last 5 or 7 days, so thank you very much, and welcome back to my older subscribers. I hope you keep coming back. I hope you find something you like. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all take care. Peace and love.